this weekend is still going on as planned.
But now city officials in Houston are expecting protests following the mass shooting in Uvalde. And even Governor Greg Abbott will no longer appear in person at today's event. A recorded video of Abbott will play instead. The NRA convention was already scheduled to start today before the school shooting on Tuesday. However, some are concerned about the timing and sensitivity of the event. City leaders say they can't cancel the convention. They have a binding contract with the NRA.
We find it unfathomable that these folks are still willing to celebrate gun culture. Maybe not cancel it, but at least postpone it to a later time where this is not so fresh in people's memories.
The NRA did release a statement offering sympathy to the families and victims in Uvalde. The statement says, in part, although an investigation is underway and facts are still emerging, we recognize this was the act of a lone deranged criminal. As we gather in Houston, we will reflect on these events, pray for the victims, recognize our patriotic members, and pledge to redouble our commitment to making our schools secure, end quote.
442 and 72 degrees.
Up next, some not so nice things found at a local cafe during a recent health inspection. We'll go behind the kitchen door to see what else inspectors found. Welcome back. Dead roaches and rat droppings. What inspectors found at a local cafe.
Investigators say they found other things as well. Tim Gerber stopped by to see what was going on behind the kitchen door.
Our first stop this week takes us to the west side, where inspectors found multiple violations at the Old Highway 90 Cafe located in the 600 block of Old Highway 90. When inspectors stopped by April 7th, they found multiple dead roaches throughout the facility and rat droppings in the water heater closet. The cold hold unit wasn't keeping items cold enough. It should be a minimum of 41 degrees, but egg yolks showed a temperature of 54 degrees. Employees were seen touching raw meat and then using a utensil to serve ready-to-eat food without washing their hands. Another employee observed touching ready-to-eat tortillas after touching a dirty rag. The cafe also written up for a repeat violation for multiple holes in the wall throughout the facility. They were ordered to make repairs with approved materials, the inspector noting cardboard may not be used. I stopped by this week to see if the repairs had been made.
Have you guys repaired the holes in the walls?
Oh yeah, I fix everything.
Employee Carlos Chacon showed me the work was ongoing.
I need a painting. I'm not finished right now, but
still working on it.
Yeah.
Inspectors gave the cafe a barely passing score of 72. They have until July 6th to finish the repairs. Fajita Taco Place number 3 in the 1800 block of Thompson Place came in with a score of 80. On April 15th, the inspector found eggs on the prep line were 72 degrees. That's well over the recommended temperature of 45. Charro beans from the previous day were thrown out because they were no longer safe to eat. Unidentified pest droppings were also found in the kitchen prep area. The corrections need to be made by July 14th. That's what's behind the kitchen door. Tim Gerber, KSAT 12 News.
Well, several restaurants also got perfect scores. To see which did well, hold up your camera phone to this QR code. It'll take you to our perfect score database on KSAT.com.
Let's take a look outside with your traffic authority. See what's going on there, the 10 of the Y. Not a lot of people out and about this Friday morning. You think that's a lot, Mark? You're making a face. Okay. Maybe I'm just used to seeing like at 6 o'clock or so.
You're used to weekend mornings when people are asleep.
I am, but you know what? I noticed yesterday at the grocery store, I was like, oh my gosh, it's 6 o'clock, no one's here. School's out for the most part.
For the most part, not everybody. Not everybody.
School's out.
But things have started to wind down this week in a lot of districts, and even more so next week. Mike Osterhage joins us now, part of the conversation. Mike, it is very good to see you back.
Thank you, sir.
How are you doing?
Doing very well.
Good.
Also with traffic, I think about it too. Maybe a lot of folks are going to get an early jump on, heading to the coast or something like that this weekend. So.
Of course. They maybe have 4 days off.
Yep, and it's going to be nice. Lots of liquids and lots of sunscreen, lots of shade because it is going to be hot. The unofficial start of summer, and it's definitely going to be living up to the billing. We've got a lot of clear skies out there as of right now. We were talking about the humidity, which yesterday was a nice little treat, and it was kind of coolish in the morning. But now dew point temperatures, again, the measure of moisture in the atmosphere are up a good 10, 15, 20 degrees as compared to this time yesterday. So that's how much more moisture is in the atmosphere, and that's why you definitely notice it when you step outside. Temperatures are in the mid and lower 70s right now. We'll drop down a few more degrees as the morning rolls on. Going to be a beautiful sunrise, maybe 1 or 2 clouds out there this morning. And then we'll warm up very quickly. We're going to make it up to already the low 80s today at 10 o'clock, 87 degrees at noon. So we're already going to be up to just about the normal high temperature by noon. And then we'll continue up into the mid and upper 90s later on today, going for 97 here in town. The humidity will be dropping down somewhat in the afternoon. So the 97 that we see, and yes, there will be a couple of triple digits out there, mid and upper 90s in and around the metropolitan area. But when you look at the heat index, it's not going to be that much above what the actual air temperature is. So we will see that 24-hour cycle today, more humidity this morning, and then it drops down in the afternoon. Pretty much the case tomorrow, but then especially by Sunday. Now we're going to have a lot of humidity that comes in here in the overnight hours. This afternoon, dew point temperatures do drop down, but then by tomorrow morning, again, the humidity comes back up. We go through that usual cycle. It'll drop down somewhat in the afternoon, but then by Sunday, it's just going to be staying pretty humid around here, as well as it looks like on into Monday, and we'll keep those dew point temperatures well up in the upper 60s and 70s. As we go into most of next week. Now, on the flip side of that, though, we won't see as high temperatures later on next week, but it's going to feel every bit as high. So it's kind of that trade-off. It's either going to be really hot, somewhat drier, which is slightly more comfortable, or we get the humidity coming on in here. So low temperatures this weekend are going to be in the low 70s. Then we're going to be kind of leaning right toward the mid 70s next week. And the trend for high temperatures, yeah, it's going to be really sizzling this weekend, and we'll be right around mid 90s, still above normal, not quite as sizzling hot as we go on into the middle part of next week. Perhaps, notice I didn't even have any mention of that on that graphic. Perhaps a shower or two by midweek. Wouldn't get really excited about that rain chance, though. 87 degrees today at noon, sunny skies, and then a high temperature today up to 97. Plenty of sunshine out there. And as we go on into the weekend, we're going to be in the upper 90s. So in other words, a lot of people are going to be hitting 100, maybe in your backyard. And got to keep in mind, that's in the shade. You get out in the direct sun, and the sun heats you up instead of just feeling the air temperature. So it'll feel, 10, 15 degrees warmer than that. You really got to watch it this weekend.
Happy unofficial start of summer, everybody.
When I see breezy, humid on there, just like, ugh.
Yeah.
The worst is like the wind, and it's like wet wind.
When it's that hot and it's humid and the breeze is like, so what? It doesn't really help out.
This is nothing.
Agreed. Thank you, Mike. 452, about 72 degrees.
Amber Heard back on the stand. Up next, a first look at another contentious cross-examination with Johnny Depp's attorney.
Here are your lottery numbers. Pick 3, 7, 4, 7, Fireball 0. Daily 4, 5, 3, 7, 7, Fireball 6.
Cash 5, 7, 15, 19, 22, 32. Texas two-step 5, 12, 34, 35, 18. Amber Heard returned to the stand on Thursday as a final witness in the defamation trial. Jurors will hear closing arguments today. ABC's Trevor Ault has the details in today's GMA First Look.
In this morning's GMA First Look, Amber Heard back on the stand for the final time in another contentious cross-examination with Johnny Depp's attorney.
Your lies have been exposed to the world multiple times, right?
I haven't lied about anything I've been here to say.
Depp's legal team trying to point out inconsistencies in Heard's testimony, with witnesses contradicting her accounts.
I know how many people will come out and say whatever for him. That's his power.
And taking questions from her own legal team, Heard said the worst parts of her life are now being used to humiliate her.
I am harassed, humiliated, threatened. People want to kill me, and they tell me so every day.
Coming up at 7 a.m., legal analyst Dan Abrams previews today's closing arguments live. With your GMA First Look, I'm Trevor Ault, ABC News, New York.
456, about 72 degrees.
Up next, we continue our coverage of the Uvalde school shooting. We're hearing more from the families of the victims who are honoring their loved ones' memories.
And more lawmakers are proposing changes in gun legislation. We'll tell you about their new ideas for background checks and for gun shows.
Oh, we have an incident there at Loop 410 and Broadway. We see some flashing lights there. Stephen Cavazos just walked in the studio. He'll give us an update on traffic in just a bit.
Live from KSAT 12. Good Morning San Antonio starts right now.
We're live in Uvalde this morning where one of the victims' families is dealing with tragedy again just days after that horrible mass shooting here at Robb Elementary. Coming up, we'll tell you how the community is rallying around the Garcia family.
Outside with live cam, 72 degrees is a bit deceiving. It's humid out there. It's been a nice night overall, but temperatures really spiked yesterday, and Mike says more of the same is on tap. Good morning, everybody. It is Friday, May 27th.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Mike is standing by with weather, but first,
a Uvalde family is grieving this morning for the loss of a mother and father in the span of just 3 days.
Emma Garcia was one of 2 teachers killed in the Robb Elementary School shooting, and days later, her husband Joe has died. RJ Marquez joins us live in Uvalde with more. Good morning, RJ.
Yeah, good morning, Mark and Sarah. And we're out here at Uvalde Memorial Park this morning. And behind me, there are 21 crosses etched for the victims of this horrible massacre that occurred here on Tuesday. One of them is Irma Garcia. So she was a 4th grade teacher who died trying to protect her students from that gunman. And then days later, we learned from the family that her husband, Joe Garcia, has died as well. That information was given to us on social media by Irma Garcia's nephew. A mass dedicated to the family was held last night at Sacred Heart Church here in Uvalde. Irma and Joe Garcia were married for 24 years, according to her teacher biography online on the Uvalde CISD website, and they leave behind 4 children. Just tragic news here. The youngest is in 7th grade and the oldest is a Marine in boot camp. Now, this community came together in an effort to help this family that included the Archbishop Gustavo Garcia Siller, and the church tells us that the family was an active part of the congregation.
The first day was for the parents to lose a child. Now is for the children to lose their parents.
They came to Mass every Sunday and they helped in whenever we needed help.
All right, back here live, Mark and Sarah. So a candlelight vigil is set for tonight at 6 p.m. out here at Uvalde Memorial Park. And of course, people will be coming together to not only pray for the victims of this horrible thing that happened here earlier this week, but also try and give more support to the Garcia family as they continue to deal with this tragedy. Again, the loss of a mother and father within the span of 3 days. Just heartbreaking news out here. And we will continue bringing you the latest live coverage. Mark and Sarah, back to you guys.
RJ, thank you. We want to continue to highlight the victims of the school shooting.
We've learned the name of 3 more students killed in the deadly shooting at Robb Elementary. Jonathan Cotto joins us live in studio with more information on them. Good morning, Jonathan.
Good morning, Sarah, Mark, and Sarah. The newest names we have are Nevea Bravo, Alexandria Rubio, and Tess Mata. That leaves 5 of the 19 children still officially unidentified. And that memorial outside the elementary school in Uvalde continues to grow. A state trooper told us a local man created the 21 crosses that now honor the victims. It's especially moving to George Rodriguez, who came to place flowers and balloons in memory of 2 relatives lost to the violence. His 10-year-old step-grandson, Jose Flores, who he described as a happy-go-lucky boy.
Full of life. It was my life, and I died with him. And I pray to be in heaven, and all the children. Stop this violence.
He also honored his niece's 10-year-old daughter. Her name is Iliana Torres. Both children were in the same classroom when they were killed. Back to you, Mark and Sarah.
Jonathan, thank you very much.
Well, as families prepare for funerals, a flower shop in La Crosse is doing what it can to provide free flowers for those services. That flower shop is coordinating with flower farms and wholesalers. They have support from Mexico, Ecuador, Holland, and hope to have a room full of flowers by Monday. They already began to receive shipments of flowers, but say they still need help to get the job done.
So that's one thing our community is doing, and in the wake of this horrific school shooting, you may be wondering what you can do. In addition to donating blood, you can also donate to the official funds to help families of the school shooting victims. We have funds listed on KSAT.com. Just click on this article. Mike?
Good morning, everyone. Well, it is nowhere near as pleasant as what it was yesterday when we had that nice drop in the humidity and temperatures were down in the 50s and even 40s in some areas. We're at 74 right now, and that bottom number is at 68. The measure of moisture in the atmosphere, the dew point, that's up about 15 degrees compared to this time yesterday. It's going to be a hot one today. We're going to gain, good 25 degrees at least throughout the course of the day, 25 close to 30 degrees, getting up into the mid and upper 90s. At least the humidity is going to drop down somewhat later on this afternoon. The aquifer did go up 1/10 of a foot in yesterday's reading, and the allergens, we do have moderate mold and grass, both on the low side. All right, as far as what you can expect today, first of all, talking about the humidity out there, and we do have a air quality health alert day in effect, so it is unhealthy. We've got just all that heat, and there's not a lot of a breeze out there, so the air is just going to be kind of sitting and not really moving around all that much. So if you can put off, say, filling up the tank or something like that till later on this evening, that would help out. 87 at noon, 97 for high temperature later on today. It's going to be a good-looking sunrise, good-looking sunset. Overall, a very nice long Memorial Day weekend. We will have a drop in the humidity this afternoon, somewhat tomorrow, but humidity is definitely going to be coming back into the picture as the weekend rolls on. We'll talk about that and take a closer look at Memorial Day in just a couple of moments. Traffic Authority, Stephen Cavazos. Good morning, sir. What's going on?
Hey, good morning, Mike, and welcome back. We are getting a look at the roadways right now. Ahead of Memorial Day weekend, we can probably expect to see a lot more folks traveling. Some may get their plans started a little bit earlier, and as you can see right now, 281 at Bitters, you're really that is not going to encounter any other trouble out on the roadway, but we are keeping our eyes here on 37 because there was a crash that was reported a little bit earlier this morning near Cesar Chavez Boulevard. You can see, thankfully, in those northbound lanes of 37, we are not detecting a slowdown just yet, but the morning is still young, so that could likely change. Sarah had pointed this out before we went to commercial break. There was a stalled vehicle off Loop 410 on the westbound lanes there near Broadway Street. Now, again, we're not seeing any issues in terms of the roadways, but always be on the lookout for those first responders who are working to help that driver out. Let's go ahead and give you a view of the metro area at 5:06. No other problems to talk about just yet, so we have to enjoy the roads while we can. Travel times also looking like they're in great shape, but I-35 and those southbound lanes, we'll have to find out what's going on there because there's the 36-minute drive time, so we are seeing somewhat of a slowdown at this hour. But one last drive here around town. The roads look fine, but we'll keep an eye on things and give you updates coming up in the next few minutes. Mark, Sarah?
We appreciate it. Thank you, Stephen. In your morning headlines, 500,000 additional cans of specialty baby formula are heading to the United States. The FDA says the Neocate amino acid-based formula is on its way. It's given to children who have multiple food allergies or are allergic to milk. The FDA says it's been working with the formula company to boost production. Once in the U.S., the formula will be distributed through direct orders, healthcare facilities, hospitals, and pharmacies. The FDA says it's also in discussion with other manufacturers and suppliers to get additional formula to the U.S.
Memorial Day weekend is upon us, and like Stephen just mentioned, a lot of people are going to be hitting the road. More than 50 million Americans are expected to travel by car and plane this weekend. Most of us are also paying more for fuel and airfare. At the pump, the national average for a gallon of gas this morning, $4.60, another all-time high. If you're flying instead of driving, expect big crowds and long lines. Delta alone is seeing 25% more travelers now than last year.
Golden State Warriors advanced to their 6th NBA Finals in the past 8 seasons last night by beating the Dallas Mavericks 120-110 in Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals. Klay Thompson scored 19 points in the first half for Golden State, including a 3 that he punctuated with teammate Steph Curry's signature shake. The Warriors raced out to a 17-point halftime lead and coasted the rest of the way. Andrew Wiggins added 18 points. Curry had 15 and 9 assists for Golden State. Warriors will host the winner of the Eastern Conference Finals between Boston and Miami on June 2nd in Game 1 of this year's NBA Finals. Celtics hold a 3-2 lead heading into Game 6 at home tonight.
It's 5:08 and 71 degrees. Well, still ahead, Americans are making their voices heard in the debate over gun safety, what a bipartisan group of 9 senators is doing when it comes to possibly reforming gun safety laws.
And Mike Ostrich will recap the upcoming Memorial Day weekend forecast to get you ready for your barbecues or visits to the river, lake, or area pools. We'll be right back. Friday morning, 5:12. Welcome back. This morning, lawmakers in Washington appear to be working together to form new legislation in the wake of the tragedy in Uvalde.
The same time, Governor Greg Abbott is changing his mind about attending this weekend's NRA convention. ABC's Ika Jachi has the details.
Americans are making their voices heard in the debate over gun safety, from student walkouts to Major League Baseball. The Rays and Yankees using their social media accounts to tweet gun violence statistics last night instead of game updates. And now, possible movement in Washington. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell is urging colleagues to find common ground, directing Texas Senator John Cornyn to work with Democrats.
I'm not interested in the same old tired talking points. I'm actually interested in what we can do to make the terrible events that occurred in Uvalde less likely in the future.
On the table, background checks for gun stores, gun shows, and online sales, and red flag measures that could allow courts to temporarily remove guns from people deemed dangerous. Polls show more than 80% of Americans support those policies, but any talk of reform involving guns is a non-starter for many Republicans, including Texas Senator Ted Cruz, telling Sky News now isn't the time to talk about gun reform.
Is this the moment to reform gun laws?
You know, it's easy to go to politics.
But it's important. It's at the heart of the issue.
The proposals from Democrats and the media, inevitably, when some violent psychopath murders people.
A violent psychopath who's able to get a weapon so easily. 18-year-old with 2 AR-15.
We learned overnight Texas Governor Greg Abbott will no longer appear in person at today's NRA convention in Houston. A recorded video of Abbott will play at the convention instead. Abbott says he'll return to Uvalde to meet with families. Now, several gun control groups will be protesting outside the NRA convention today, and several local leaders are calling for peaceful protests. Ika Jachi, ABC News, Washington.
5:14, about 71 degrees.
All right, taking a look outside at the roads, 35. Okay, there is more traffic this morning, like Mark said. You know, for Memorial Day weekend, people might be getting an early start, but Stephen will have updates on the road situation when we come back.
The Solo Stove Bonfire is the hottest new reason to get outside. With its signature 360 airflow design, firewood gets just the right amount of oxygen. And since it's easy to light, it gets going fast. It's America's favorite smokeless fire pit for a reason. Bonfire is made for when those good moments become lasting memories. Save $10 using promo code TV10 at solostove.com.
Keep life zesty with Zantac 360 degrees. Heartburn can't stop this party because Zantac 360's triple action prevents, relieves, and lasts, working in as little as 15 minutes. Keep life zesty with Zantac 360.
Do you struggle with occasional nerve aches in your hands or feet? Try Nervive Nerve Relief from the world's #1 selling nerve care company. Nervive contains alpha-lipoic acid to relieve occasional nerve aches, weakness, and discomfort. Try Nervive Nerve Relief.
Welcome back. Just about 5:18. So our theory is, and I think this makes all sorts of sense, is that people want to get a jump start on the long holiday weekend.
And Stephen, earlier we saw an issue at Loop 410 and Broadway. We saw some lights there. Is that still happening?
Thankfully, that's cleared out, but you know, some people are getting that head start on the Memorial Day weekend travel. My younger sister actually went home to the Valley yesterday, so she tried to beat the crowd, which I thought was a smart idea. But keep in mind, US 90 near Couples, we are seeing some busy traffic out in that shot from TransGuide. Thankfully, it's just the usual commerce. We're really not seeing a whole lot of issues out there, but we are seeing a few more folks that are getting that day started early and maybe trying to jumpstart the weekend. So just drive carefully, but we do have a crash that's still being reported. Actually, pardon me, this is a stall now. TxDOT originally reported this as a crash off I-37 northbound, but that has since been downgraded to a stall. So just make sure that you watch out. And if you do have those travel plans, make sure your vehicle is working properly. Well, let's get a wide look at the map. Thankfully, TransGuide, or pardon me, our map that is, I have a case of the Fridays today, pardon me. But right now, not seeing any issues on the roadways just yet. But we do want to remind you, plan your commute. 410 on the east side of San San Antonio, we are still seeing some concrete work, and we're going to continue to see that at least up until Monday. Now, TxDOT does report that will be from 8 in the morning to 5 in the afternoon. Drivers, that's when you can expect an alternating southbound 410 frontage road lane closure right there from I-10 and East Houston Street. So, of course, that information is on our website at ksat.com/traffic. You can just scroll to the bottom and you will find all that information you need to know. Guys.
Thank you, Stephen.
Mike, is that a sunset or sunrise behind you?
It looks like it's a sunset. It just looks hot, though. I mean, that's what we're going to be looking at this weekend. So the one thing with the sunrises, this morning should be pretty good, but the next couple of mornings, we're going to have a lot more humidity around here. We got a bunch this morning, and we may see a couple of clouds trying to pop up, but the next few mornings, we are going to have a lot more in the way of morning cloudiness than afternoon sunshine. So got a lot of clear skies out there as of right now, and looking ahead through the weekend, it's going to be hot. We keep talking about how Memorial Day weekend is the unofficial start of summer. Of course, we've already had our summer, or at least a little sample of it a couple of weeks ago when we had those triple-digit readings, and it's going to be just about that hot this weekend. 98s both tomorrow and Sunday, 95 on Monday. There is going to be a breeze, and that southerly wind is just going to continue to pump in all the humidity. So we will see the drop in the humidity later on this afternoon, and then it comes back in tomorrow. Somewhat of a drop in the afternoon tomorrow, but then once we get into Sunday and Monday, it's going to stay pretty humid throughout the afternoon. So heat index readings are definitely going to be something we'll be talking about, especially later on in the weekend. Go upstairs in the atmosphere. A lot of humidity down here at the surface, but really, really dry air upstairs, this darker shade of gray. So that means we're going to have a lot of beautiful sunshine out there. And like I said, good looking sunrise. Temperatures will drop down a couple of more degrees, not anywhere near like what we had around here yesterday when we got down in the 50s and 40s. A nice little treat, actually below normal temperatures by almost 10 degrees, and now we're hovering roughly 5 degrees or so above normal. And then later on this afternoon, or by noon I should say, going to make it up to 87. So already at the normal high by noon. Pretty much add 10 degrees to that. Wind out of the south, not overly breezy today, a little bit of breeze here and there, but it is going to be much breezier, like I said, going on into the weekend. So we've got the humidity around here this morning. It will drop down by the afternoon, and then it comes back in here tomorrow. We go through that 24-hour cycle. But like I said, the humidity, once we get into the latter part of the weekend, is definitely going to be sticking around. Obviously, there's not a cloud in sight around here. It was a beautiful day yesterday. It's going to be a beautiful day today if you're inside. Now, some folks do love the heat, so this is your kind of weather this weekend. Not really anything going on. I mean, on the bookends, we got a couple of big systems, but upstream for us, that's what we can expect this weekend. Just nothing out there. So maybe by the middle of next week, a stray shower or two, but that's kind of wishful thinking at this point. We wouldn't get really excited about that. 87 degrees today at noon, plenty of sunshine out there, and then a high temperature up to 97. Then we go on into the weekend, and we're going to have a lot of sunshine and have more humidity. Lots, can't emphasize this enough, lots of water, lots of sunscreen, and lots of shade.
Just careful with the pets, too. Yeah. Just a nice reminder after a very hot month of May. Be careful about walking them later in the day. Just try not to do it.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. If you were walking across, the sidewalk or the pavement,
barefoot? Absolutely.
Yeah. So what do they always say? Put the back of your hand on the pavement, and if it burns your hand, that's probably how their paw pads feel. Yeah. And it's a really good test. Yeah. Find out real quick.
Even a bowl of water outside, it gets hot really quickly. So yeah, plenty of shade for the pets too, and fresh water.
Please, please, please. 522, about 71 degrees.
Up next, how the Child Nutrition Services team at San Antonio ISD is helping to feed roughly 4,000 children at Uvalde CISD in the wake of the school shooting.
More of that to come. Quick look at all your lottery numbers. Pick 3, 747, Fireball 0. Daily 4 numbers 5377, Fireball 6.
Catch 5, 715, 19, 22, 32. Texas 2-step 5, 12, 34, 35, 18.
When it comes to showing support for Uvalde, many are finding meaningful ways to contribute here in San Antonio.
The Child Nutrition Services team at San Antonio ISD has been prepping snack packs for the roughly 4,000 children at Uvalde CISD. With the cancellation of the school and the uncertainty of the summer programs, many kids won't have access to school meals. The teams have coordinated with Uvalde CISD Dual Language Academy at 224 West Benson to hand out snacks to students starting around 10 a.m. till 2 p.m.
We all know food is very important. They too serve a very high poverty area. And so it really bothered us to know that there would be a disruption in their school meal service, because we know how many school kids depend on school meals. And even if it's snack bundles just to hold them over until their program gets reinstated, that's what we're going to do.
Well, snack packs include non-perishable nutrition bars, graham crackers, and fruit.
Time check, 5:27, about 71 degrees.
Still ahead on GMSA, we'll get an update on the investigation into the school shooting in Uvalde and what investigators are saying this morning.
Let's look at how Russia is making the global food crisis worse. We'll have details on Vladimir Putin's newly proposed deal, which includes either food or sanctions.
We're live at Uvalde Memorial Park this morning, where a candlelight vigil continues to grow for the victims of that horrible mass shooting from earlier this week. And we're learning more about the investigation and what law enforcement are saying this morning about their confrontation with the shooter.
71 degrees at 5:30 this morning. Mike is back and he says, hey, this weekend for Memorial Weekend, it's going to be pretty warm. He'll have our forecast in just a bit.
It's good to have him back. It is Friday. It is May 27th. And a good morning to you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And like Mike is standing by with weather, but first we head to Uvalde.
President Biden and the First Lady will be traveling there Sunday to pay tribute to the 21 victims shot and killed Tuesday.
This morning, the community is now being honored by members of another devastated community. RJ Marquez is live in Uvalde with more. Good morning, RJ.
Yeah, good morning, Mark and Sarah. Out here at Uvalde Memorial Park this morning, talking about a candlelight vigil that's set to be held tonight here for the victims of those families. And, it's hard to believe that we're now 3-4 days into what was just a horrible event. All these lives that have been changed and transformed forever. There was a memorial in Newtown, Connecticut for the families. They held services there to honor the victims here in Uvalde as well. As we continue to get more information, we're learning more about the families, the victims, and basically finding out what exactly happened here on Tuesday around noon here. And also, police getting many more questions as well about what was the approach to the combating the shooter, to trying to get into the school. Law enforcement officials obviously taking many questions this morning because of their changing stories about how everything unfolded once the gunman arrived at Robb Elementary School. It appears a resource officer did not confront the gunman outside the school, as authorities had first said. This was all information that was revealed to us yesterday during a news conference. And parents, obviously, grief-stricken here, still demanding to know why it took more than an hour to take down this shooter.
They don't make entry initially because of the gunfire they're receiving. Could anybody have gone there sooner? You got to understand, small town.
All right, and that was law enforcement officials talking about what they have learned from this investigation. Again, a lot more is set to be come out as that investigation continues. Law enforcement officials also saying that after crashing a truck, the gunman fired on 2 people coming out of a nearby funeral home. He then entered the school through an apparently unlocked door. So again, as we continue to get more information on the investigation, we will share that information with you. And just talking about this memorial again out here that continues to grow, 21 families, their lives have been affected forever. Distraught families now obviously having to deal with the difficult task of making funeral arrangements as well. We've been told that the only 2 funeral homes here in Uvalde are offering free services for those families. But again, it has still been a very difficult week out here, and just seeing this memorial grow, and we will get more information as the day continues. Again, this candlelight vigil will be held here at Uvalde Memorial Park at 6 o'clock tonight to honor the victims. Mark and Sarah, back to you guys.
Thank you very much, RJ. Okay, we've got a lot of clear skies starting off this morning. Nowhere near as crisp as what it was yesterday. We had that very dry air that came on in here. We had pleasant temperatures. Temperatures were down about, 10, 15 degrees lower than what these numbers are. We had 50s and 40s yesterday morning. Now back up into the 60s and even some low 70s hanging around here. And the dew points, the measure of moisture in the atmosphere, you step outside, You notice the humidity this morning. These numbers are up a good 10 to 15 degrees compared to what they were at this time yesterday. Mold is moderate. Grass is on the low side this morning. Of course, the updated count is going to be coming out in about a couple of hours or so, right after 7 o'clock. And as far as air quality, there is an ozone action day in effect for the metropolitan area. It is unhealthy for folks who may have sensitivities. So if you can put off, maybe fill up the tank or something like that till later on this afternoon, or this evening, I should say, that would help out. So clear, not as cold this morning, and then later on this afternoon, sunny, upper 90s. We are going to be close to 10 degrees above normal later on today. At least the humidity is going to be dropping down somewhat in the afternoon, so we'll go through that 24-hour cycle. And the weekend, we'll have a lot of humidity tomorrow morning. It's going to come back in overnight, as usually does, drop down somewhat in the afternoon. But then as we go on into Sunday and especially Monday, we're going to have a lot of humidity sticking around throughout the day, so we're going to be talking heat index readings going into Sunday as well as Monday. The next week, still hot, not quite as sizzling. Any rain to be squeezed out. We'll take a look ahead in just a couple of minutes. Traffic Authority, Stephen Cavazos. Any big problems out there, sir?
Not just yet, Mike. Thankfully, those drivers that are heading out in the next few moments, people that is, are going to basically have the roads to themselves. Earlier, we showed you the shot at 410 at Broadway. There was a stalled vehicle that looks like it is cleared out. Elsewhere at 281 at Grayson, traffic is getting moving, as you can see right there along US 90 at Couples, a pretty busy spot. We know a lot of people are going to be traveling this weekend, so just remember to check those vehicles and plan your commute. But as I mentioned, with stalls right now seem just to be the big issue. Right now, this one picked up here along I-37 northbound there near Cesar Chavez Boulevard. Good news is it's still very early to where we're not seeing a delay with traffic. Hopefully that stalled vehicle is off in the shoulder lane, but we're also hoping that driver gets the help that they need. But right now, it's still being reported by TxDOT. So just make sure to watch out there. Let's go ahead and get that bird's eye view of the map. As you can see right now, no other problems to talk about. But of course, there are still those active construction zones, as you can see right there on our map. So just watch out for crews as they start arriving to improve the roadways. But thankfully, the travel times to get to San Antonio, we're really not going to see much of a delay at this hour. Coming in from Bernie, I think I just showed you this a little bit earlier. We're pretty much green across the board. Earlier, we did see a slowdown traveling in from 35 in New Braunfels, a 27-minute drive time. So not looking bad there, but we're going to jump past that concrete work and get back to this shot at TransGuide 410 at McCullough. Things are moving as the morning is getting going. Mark, Sarah?
Stephen, thank you very much. New this morning, a woman and her small child recovering following a rollover crash on San Antonio's southeast side overnight. It happened around 11:30 last night near the area of I-37 East South Cross. SAPD says the woman was ejected from the vehicle during the crash. She and her 4-year-old child were taken to the hospital in stable condition. So far, there's no word on what caused the crash.
Also new this morning, San Antonio police say a man is in serious condition after he was stabbed several times overnight. It happened just before 1 this morning, the 5600 block of Walsham on the northeast side. SAPD says the stabbing happened at a homeless camp behind a nearby Walmart. Police say during the stabbing, the man also lost a tip of his finger. So far, a suspect description has not been released.
The world is experiencing a food crisis. Here in the U.S., high prices are making it hard for some families to afford groceries.
In poorer nations, food insecurity is even worse. As CNN's Amy Kiley reports, Russia is effectively holding hostage a large amount of the world's grain and fertilizer.
This is Russia, who is actively blocking the export of food from Ukrainian ports and is increasing world hunger.
Russia's war in Ukraine is worsening a global food crisis. In the U.S., high prices are straining food banks and increasing the risk of a recession. A new report shows the U.S. economy contracted even more in the first quarter than previously estimated. In some poorer nations, the crisis is causing scarcity and hunger.
There is food insecurity in Africa that is being provoked by the shortage of grain.
Russia and Ukraine are usually some of the world's biggest exporters of grain. Russian President Vladimir Putin is effectively holding that food hostage. Russia denies those accusations, but
Russia has made a proposal to us to allow exports in exchange for lifting the sanctions.
That proposal comes as sources say Russian troops are depopulating parts of eastern Ukraine. Despite such atrocities, some at the World Economic Forum this week saying it's getting harder to stand united.
Yes, I see a recession, especially in Europe. All the indicators saying that high inflation, high interest rate, end the war.
The International Monetary Fund says the world needs to prevent the food crisis
from exploding to a point that tens of millions of people are severely affected.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
A metric used by the Biden administration to estimate the real-world cost of climate change gets Supreme Court approval. The High Court says it can be used while other legal challenges play out. The social cost of carbon uses economic models to assign a cost to carbon dioxide emissions. The cost then quantifies the economic harm caused by sea level rise, more destructive hurricanes, extreme wildfires, and flooding. It is used in federal regulations on carbon emissions and by the Department of the Interior when deciding whether drilling can happen on federal lands. Republican opponents say the metric is just a power grab to manipulate regulations.
At least 3 musicians have backed out of a concert at this week's National Rifle Association convention in Houston following the Uvalde school shooting. Don McClain, famous for the song American Pie, said it would be disrespectful and hurtful for him to perform. Meanwhile, Larry Gatlin of the Gatlin brothers also canceled, saying he can't perform in good conscience. He said he agrees with most of the NRA's positions and he's a, quote, Second Amendment guy. Larry Stewart, who contributed lead vocals to the band Restless Heart, is also opting out of appearing this weekend. Right now it's 5:40, about 71 degrees.
We'll still ahead, planning on preparing a good meal this weekend. We have important warning about salmonella and how to avoid it.
Up next, the latest on the final results of a local court case regarding a man who terrorized the medical center area and what happened when one of his victims faced him in court.
Well, those cool temps that we've had the last 2 days, they're no longer here. 71 degrees at 5:40 this morning. And Mike says that things are just going to continue to heat up more throughout the Memorial Day weekend. We'll have that forecast when we come back.
Welcome back. The case of a man who terrorized the San Antonio Medical Center area came to an end this week. Anton Harris was sentenced on a remaining aggravated sexual assault case.
He was dubbed the medical center rapist, as Erica Hernandez reports. Before he was taken away for the last time in Bexar County, one of his victims faced him in a courtroom.
Today I'm making you a different promise, and this one I intend to keep. I promise to tell my story.
The woman whose identity we are not showing because she is a sexual assault victim was able to face Anton Harris 5 years after he attacked her. Harris, who was 18 at the time of his arrest, is responsible for a series of robberies and rapes of women in the medical center area for almost 2 years. In early 2020, a jury convicted Harris on 1 of 5 aggravated sexual assault charges, and he was sentenced to 99 years. This week, Harris pled guilty to another count in exchange for 35 years and the dismissal of the rest of his cases. The woman in court reminding Harris about the last time he saw her and how he threatened to kill her if she called the cops.
Shut up or I'll kill you. Those were your words to me. You used that gun to silence me, as so many other rape victims have been silenced. But I will keep this new promise to you. I will not shut up. I will never again be silenced.
Now, this brings an end to a case that we've extensively covered since 2016. Harris's 35-year sentence will run concurrently with his 99-year sentence, and he'll have to serve half of that before he's eligible for parole. Erica Hernandez, KSAT 12 News.
It's now 5:44 on your Friday morning, 71 degrees.
So whether you will be grilling this weekend or just making a sandwich, what health experts say you should be aware of when it comes to salmonella.
5:47, from peanut butter to a viral video about avocado salmonella has been making headlines. Summer barbecues can also heighten the risk of infections from the foodborne bacteria.
CNN's Karen Kafa looks at the dangers and how to avoid them.
A recent nationwide recall of select Jif peanut butter and an increasing number of products that contain the affected peanut butter is due to a possible salmonella contamination. The J.M. Smucker Company voluntarily issued the recall on May 20th, advising consumers to dispose of products under the recall. Full recall information can be found at FDA.gov. The CDC estimates salmonella bacteria, which can be spread by raw or undercooked foods or cross-contamination in food preparation and production, cause more than 1.3 million infections and 420 deaths in the U.S. every year. Symptoms to watch for include diarrhea, fever, and stomach cramps. They usually begin 6 hours to 6 days after infection and last 4 to 7 days. With more Americans hitting the grills this Memorial Day weekend, the U.S. Department of Agriculture advised advises outdoor chefs to be particularly vigilant with raw meat and poultry to avoid foodborne bacteria like salmonella. Wash hands frequently, use a food thermometer to cook items to a proper temperature, avoid cross-contamination by keeping meat and poultry separate from fruits and vegetables, and store leftovers safely, tossing perishable foods left at room temperature for more than 2 hours, less if out in the sun. For today's Health Minute, I'm Karen Kafa.
Just about 10 till 6, 71 degrees.
We're going to check in with Stephen Cavazos to see what's happening on the road. Stephen?
Not a whole lot, thankfully, as we get a look here at 35 at 410, 1604 at Military. Again, just a quiet start to this Friday morning. We know maybe more people will probably get out on the roadways, that is, as the morning does move on and as we start to see people driving off into the Memorial Day weekend. But thankfully, at this hour, doesn't look too bad. Just remember to always be alert and stay aware because we do have a few things to talk about as we bring you in. Stalls really seem to be that trending problem at this hour. This one reported by I-35 southbound at Eisenhower Road is the latest one we are adding to that list. Again, make sure you check those vehicles before you get out on the roadways and plan ahead. Some column work will continue to take place there on the Loop 410 over on the west side of San Antonio. That will be wrapping on Monday, June 6th, according to TxDOT. Drivers, keep in mind this is overnight, so that is when you can expect an alternating full closure in both directions there at the Culebra Road intersection, 8 in the evening to 5 in the morning. Of course, that information is already on our website at ksat.com/traffic. Guys.
Thank you, Stephen.
Take a look at this view.
Yeah.
You know you're getting in towards summer when at, 10 till 6
Not even
in the morning.
6 o'clock yet. Yeah, boy,
we're starting to see the glow of the sunrise. And
oh, yeah, there's the moon right there.
Crescent moon. And if that banner wasn't there, right about there is the planet Venus. Really cool how they're right in line. The little crescent's kind of pointing at Venus up there. So if you step outside, look off to the east right now, you can see that. But beautiful sunrise in store this morning. It is very warm and humid out there. Nothing like what it was yesterday. Mid upper 60s, even low to mid 70s. Still 74 here in town, 70 in Seguin. And these numbers, dew points, measure moisture in the atmosphere. Yesterday we were down in the pleasant range, down in the 50s. Now we're up in the muggy and not quite in the oppressive range, but it's definitely a lot more humid out there when you step outside this morning. Mold and grass are both on the low side. And we do have an air quality health alert that's in effect today. It is, if you can put off, say, filling up the tank till later on. So as far as the forecast throughout the day, and I have the wrong show popped up here, but what I can tell you is for Memorial Day weekend, it is going to be very hot and it is going to start to get more humid. We'll have somewhat of a drop in the humidity later on this afternoon, so we're going to be about 97 degrees and see even some triple-digit temperatures, especially over toward the Rio Grande Valley. And then tomorrow, 98, same thing on Sunday. It is going to be breezy both days, and we are going to start to see more humidity come back in here. A lot of humidity tomorrow morning, as well as going into Sunday morning, but then in the afternoon on Sunday. Saturday, it'll drop somewhat like today, but Sunday, it's going to be sticking around. So Sunday and definitely Monday, we're going to be dealing with heat index readings around here. Then we go into the next 7 days. And again, temperatures are definitely going to stay on the hot side. Normals are upper 80s right now. And so we're going to be well above that. Like I said, breezy tomorrow as well as Saturday as well as Sunday. Temperatures won't be quite as sizzling hot as we go on in toward the middle part of next week, but we're still going to be a good 5 degrees above normal. And you see that 10% chance of a shower or two on Wednesday. I wouldn't get really excited about that. Maybe a little disturbance trying to slide on through here, but notice those low temperatures also staying in the mid 70s going to the middle part of next week. So that's always a good indication that you got a lot of humidity around here when you don't get those low temperatures to drop down, like we had yesterday when it was nice and pleasant out there. So yeah, definitely the unofficial start of summer is going to feel like summer.
Well, you're driving this, Mike. If you tell us not to get excited, we're not getting excited. So we're going to wait to hear more. Okay?
Not a lot more to hear about any rain chances.
Yes, sir. Understood.
Need to find a body of water to keep cool. Thank you, Mike.
All right. 5:53, about 71 degrees.
We're going to take a look at the lotto numbers.
They're coming.
There they are. Pick 3, 7, 4, 7, Fireball 0. Daily 4, 5, 3, 7, 7, Fireball 6.
Thanks, Sarah. Cash 5 numbers 7, 15, 19, 22, 32. Texas 2-step 5, 12, 34, 35 with a bonus ball of 18.
Coming up here on GMA, the urgent search for answers as new concerning details about the Uvalde shooting keep emerging. How long it took for authorities to enter that Texas elementary school classroom where the gunman was terrorizing students and teachers. Also this morning, 40 million Americans on alert for severe weather this holiday weekend. I'm going to be all over that, showing you who has to look out where. And then the best and worst times to take off, to drive, to find the best gas prices, where you can find the best sales of the weekend. Lots to get to on a Friday edition of GMA.
As the community of Uvalde tries to heal, other South Texas communities are doing what they can to help. Some have donated blood, others are helping with flowers. We also have a list of official funds being collected to help the families of the school shooting victims. It's all online at KSAT.com. Still to come in the next hour at GMSA, we'll hear from a security assessment specialist to find out more about the protocols of law enforcement when it comes to confronting an active shooter on school grounds. That's still ahead. And we're live this morning in Uvalde. More on the mass held for one of those killed at the city's school massacre and her husband who died only days afterwards. RJ Marquez will join us live. Stephen is here tracking traffic as we are now looking at some heavier traffic on I-37. Lots of folks right now at 1604 Petranco about to get onto the interstate itself. The sun is up early, and Mike has your Memorial Day weekend forecast still to come right here on GMSA. One more hour straight ahead.
Families hurting and so many demanding answers on why it took so long for officers to stop that shooter. I'm Daniela Hurtado from Uvalde, Texas. We'll have the latest coming up.
Plus, how San Antonio ISD is helping the families of Uvalde during this difficult time. That is straight ahead.
71 degrees at 6 o'clock this morning. Beautiful. You can see the sun starting to rise and that moon also in the skyline there. Mike has our forecast for a Memorial Day weekend in just a bit.
Live from KSAT 12. Good Morning San Antonio starts right now.
And a good morning to you. It is 6 o'clock on Friday, May 27th.
Thank you so much for starting your morning with us. We're going to get to weather and traffic in just a bit, but first we head to Uvalde.
This morning, grief upon grief for one of the families affected by the horrific act at Robb Elementary. Tragedy strikes Uvalde family already grieving all over again.
The husband of one of the teachers killed in that attack has died. RJ Marquez is live in Uvalde this morning with this heartbreaking story. RJ?
Yeah, Mark and Sarah, I mean, this is unthinkable. I mean, when you see a family that's already dealing with one tragedy here earlier this week, and then to think about the fact that they've now lost not only their mother, the teacher involved in this shooting, Irma Garcia, but also her husband, beloved father, Joe Garcia. And I mean, it's absolutely heartbreaking. We're out here at Uvalde Memorial Park. There's a candlelight vigil that has been set up here for all the victims. And there are 21 crosses behind me, each one with the names of each victim involved in this terrible mass shooting. One of them, Irma Garcia. And we've seen even from social media videos that Joe Garcia was actually out here to put flowers at his wife's cross. And again, just an unthinkable incident here when you think about this family and what they're going through. So the community obviously coming together to try and help the Garcia family in any way possible. They held a mass last night for this family at Sacred Heart Church in Uvalde. Irma and Joe Garcia were married for 24 years, and they also leave behind 4 children. Unbelievable. The youngest is in 7th grade, and the oldest, we're told, was a Marine at boot camp. These children are in absolute pain today throughout this week, but surrounded by family and the community that is just trying to hug them, try and wrap their arms around them. We're told that the kids had more than 40 to 50 family members with them here in Uvalde.
Sometimes the best thing to do is just be there for them, not to try to help them understand what happened and why it happened. Sometimes words are just not going to be enough.
And that was Father Morales right there speaking about just the grief that this family is going through right now. So we learned about Joe Garcia's passing by a family member who announced on social media that his uncle had passed away due to grief. And again, this family now shaken by the deaths of their mother and their father within the span of just a few days. So people will be out here praying at this candlelight vigil that's set for 6 p.m. tonight. And, not only praying for the Garcias, but also praying for all the other victims involved in this horrible, horrible tragedy. Mark and Sarah, back to you guys.
RJ, thank you. This morning, the names of 3 more children that were killed have been officially released. The names Nevaeh Bravo, Alexandria Rubio, and Tess Mata.
That now leaves 5 of the 19 children still officially unidentified. A memorial set up outside Robb Elementary School in Uvalde continues to grow. A state trooper told us a local man created those 21 crosses that you see on your screen to honor those victims. It's especially moving to George Rodriguez, who came to place flowers and balloons in memory of 2 relatives that he lost in the violence. His 10-year-old step-grandson, Jose Flores, who he described as a happy-go-lucky boy.
Full of life. It was my life, and I died with him. And I pray to be in heaven and all the children. Stop this violence.
He also honored his niece's 10-year-old daughter. Now, President Biden and the First Lady traveling to the Lone Star State on Sunday to pay tribute to those 21 victims shot and killed.
And that community hit hard by violence now being honored by members of another devastated community. And this morning, new questions about the police response. Daniela Hurtado has the latest from Uvalde.
Across the country, communities in mourning. Parishioners at the Sacred Heart Catholic Church in Uvalde honoring those lost in this week's tragedy.
Wounds which never quite healed in our own hearts and souls.
Worshiping in solidarity, members of the community in Newtown, Connecticut, where the nation's deadliest elementary school shooting took place nearly 10 years ago. Their prayers amid new details about the investigation and growing anger over the police response. Law enforcement officials are facing intense criticism over their changing stories about how everything unfolded once the gunmen arrived at the school.
They don't make entry initially because of the gunfire they're receiving.
It appears a resource officer did not confront the gunmen outside the school, as authorities had first said. Parents are demanding to know why it took more than an hour to take down the shooter.
Could anybody have gone there sooner? You gotta understand, small town.
Sources also telling ABC News at one point the suspected shooter's mother previously worked at the same store where Salvador Ramos purchased his 2 weapons. And while authorities pieced together a motive, survivors trying to move forward. ABC's Matt Gutman spoke with one 4th grader who was in a classroom down the hall.
When did you notice that something was wrong?
Well, whenever the bullet came through the wall, so I turned off the lights, everybody went out, under the table.
The memorial is growing for all 21 victims whose names are now etched in white crosses outside of the school. The distraught families are now having to take on the difficult task of making arrangements for their loved ones. The only 2 funeral homes in Uvalde are offering free funeral services for those hurting families. Daniela Hurtado, ABC News.
Well, support for the people of Uvalde continues. Efforts are being directed toward the school district's children and providing them with meals.
Yeah, those efforts include support from the San Antonio Independent School District's Nutritional Services. Jonathan Cotto joins us now live in studio with more information on that.
Good morning, Mark and Sarah. Well, San Antonio's ISD Child Nutrition Services team traveled to Uvalde, wanting to offer their assistance to the Uvalde's consolidated ISD in an effort of helping ensure there's some 4,000 students can still have access to a meal. The help is welcomed with school understandably canceled and the uncertainty of the summer programs. Many kids won't have access to school meals. The teams have coordinated with the Uvalde CISD Dual Language Academy on West Benson to hand out the snacks to students starting at around 10 a.m. till about 2 p.m.
We all know food is very important. They too serve a very high poverty area. And so it really bothered us to know that there would be a disruption in their school meal service, because we know how many school kids depend on school meals. And even if it's snack bundles just to hold them over until their program gets reinstated, that's what we're going to do.
The snack packs include non-perishable nutrition bars, graham crackers, and fruit. We know this is just one of various ways local organizations are extending a hand of help and support to the people of Uvalde with all that families are dealing with. This is just one way to take something off the parents' minds, and they help the children process what has happened. Back to you.
Donna, thank you very much. As we continue to remember the victims of the massacre at Robb Elementary, we wanted you to know pictures of those lost are being released daily, and stories about those victims continue to come into the KSAT newsroom. You can follow our coverage online by heading to our website at ksat.com. In addition to this magnitude of the tragedy, it has a lot of people looking for ways to help in some form or capacity. In addition to donating blood, you can also donate to the official funds to help the families of the school shooting victims. We have compiled a list of official fundraisers made available to you on ksat.com. Just click on this particular article.
Good morning, everyone. Well, a beautiful start this morning. As you can see, we got lots of clear skies out there, and there is the waning crescent moon. You can see just above that banner, and out of the picture right now, just to the kind of the top right of that moon is the planet Venus. So before the sun comes up, you can kind of sneak outside and take a look at that. Obviously, a beautiful sunrise, maybe a little bit of a couple of clouds well off there along the horizon. We're down to 72 degrees right now. We'll drop down maybe another couple of notches. Do have some 50s in the hill country, 59 in Comfort as of right now. Mold is moderate, grass is on the low side, and throughout the rest of today, we're going to see temperatures that are going to be warming up very, very nicely throughout the day, very, very quickly, I should say, as well. And already by noon, we're going to be up to 87 degrees, plenty of sunshine around here. And then, which 87 is just about the normal high temperature. Then we get up to 97 later on today with wind out of the south at 5 to 10 miles per hour, bit breezy at times. And there is also an air quality health alert in effect today. So it is unhealthy for folks that may have a sensitivity. So if you can put off, if you've got to fill up the tank, something like that, put that off till later on this evening. That would help out. We're going to take a closer look at the long Memorial Day weekend forecast coming up in just a couple of minutes. Traffic Authority right now. Stephen Cavazos, what's the latest, sir?
Good morning, Mike. Well, the morning is moving here off 35 at 410, 1604 at Military Drive. Drivers can enjoy a beautiful skyline, as you can see right there at TransGuide, and they can enjoy some quiet roadways. 410 at Jackson Keller. You can see, though, it is picking up as we're inching closer to that morning rush hour. But keep in mind, Memorial Day weekend is upon us, so we do know more people will be heading out on the roadways and traveling. So just remember to drive safe if you plan on heading out of town a little bit earlier than usual. Let's go ahead and talk about what we're seeing on the map, because we know that there are active construction zones, but we really are seeing stalls as we take you in here to I-35. Those southbound lanes near Eisenhower Road is where one stall was detected just a few minutes ago. Thankfully, it's not causing any issues in those southbound lanes, but we always want our drivers out there, make sure you're checking your vehicles and move over or slow down anytime you see those emergency lights. Let's talk about these travel times really quick. Want to mention Pleasant Drive from Pleasanton. It's going to take you about 28 minutes to get to downtown San Antonio. We're going to tell you about 16 minutes coming in from 35 northbound in Lytle. However, Highway 90 coming in from Castroville, that's 18 minutes to Loop 1604, West Loop 1604. Had a viewer pointed out this to me yesterday that the times took them a little bit longer than what we were showing. We'll work to get that accurate information, but this will be how long it takes you to get to West Loop 1604 from Castroville. We'll have more updates on that later in the morning, but right now the morning is moving. And again, just make sure you keep your eyes on the road, and we'll have more updates coming up here on GMSA. Guys.
And thank you for the update. 611, about 71 degrees.
Well, local district is ending its school year early in the wake of the tragedy in Uvalde. What officials want students and the staff to now focus on.
Plus, 2 suspects pull a gun on a woman and demand her vehicle. We'll tell you what she did to get away.
71 degrees at 6:12 this morning. That sun is rising, hopefully for another beautiful Friday and hopefully a beautiful but warm start to our Memorial Day weekend. Mike will have his full forecast when we come back.
We'll go back to GMSA. It's now 6:15 in your morning headlines. It's been a week filled with goodbyes, and that continues for families and friends of victims of the attack on that Buffalo supermarket. Funeral service is set today for 3 of those killed. They're among the 10 people who died, 3 wounded May 14th when a gunman opened fire on shoppers and employees at the Tops Friendly Market in Buffalo. Authorities say the 18-year-old suspect chose the store because of its location in a predominantly black neighborhood. Funerals for half a dozen other victims have taken place in recent days. The final funeral is scheduled for tomorrow.
The Biden administration is preparing to send long-range rocket systems to Ukraine to support its fight against Russia. The MLRS, or Multiple Launch Rocket System, is capable of firing rockets hundreds of miles, which could be a game changer in the war. With the new rocket system, Ukraine would have the ability to hit targets well inside Russia. The rockets would be part of a larger package of U.S. military assistance, which could be announced as soon as next week.
All right, 6:16. Let's check on the Friday morning commute.
Not much has changed within the last few minutes. Mark, Sarah, as we get a look at TransGuide 35 at Cesar Chavez, it's just been a typical morning, but we know that there are still some school buses out there, as you can see there at I-10 at Hackberry. So just remember to drive carefully. And if you plan on heading out to maybe travel for the Memorial Day weekend, we really won't see a lot of issues in terms of the congestion at this moment, but that's always subject to change as the morning does move on. But showing you the map, as we talked about, there are some of those active construction zones. We'll talk about that in just a moment, but we still have that stall vehicle off of I-35 southbound there near Eisenhower Road. So just make sure you watch out for that and plan that commute. We told you about this earlier in the week, and we're still going to see that work continue over here off Loop 410 on the east side of San Antonio. Concrete work. Now keep in mind that should be wrapping on Monday, May 30th. So that will be during the day, starts at 8 in the morning to 5 in the afternoon. That's when crews will be out there, and that's when drivers can also expect that alternating southbound 410 frontage road lane closure. I know that's a mouthful there, but I-10 to East Houston Street is where you can expect that concrete work to take place. But that information is also on our website, ksat.com/traffic, including any other closures you need to know about. But back here on TransGuide, things seem to be moving just fine. Guys?
Stephen, thank you very much. So good to see Mike Osterhage back in the studio on this Friday. We've missed you. Seems like you've been gone. Has it been 2 or 3 months?
Just a little,
6 months? No, I'm just kidding.
just a little more than 2 weeks. So
Yes.
I wish I had better news to report. I wish yesterday's weather would kind of repeat and cut and paste throughout the weekend. But
Well, do you want to come? You want to leave and come back when you have better news, or do you want to stick around this morning?
I can't wait to come back in like late November or something like that. So, but anyway, this morning, for folks that do still have school out there, we have got, in my school bus, look at that. I forgot the keys to the bus as I'm coming back in here. So anyway, all right, we'll get that worked out. First of all, morning glories. If you love the humidity, the heat and humidity, you love this forecast. Morning glories. I guess they love it as well. It's a beautiful picture. Thank you very much for the KSAT Connect picture. All right, we do have a couple of clouds hanging around here. You saw 1 or 2 of them in the TransGuide cameras that Stephen was just showing. So 1 or 2 this morning, and then we'll have plenty of sunshine throughout the day. Of course, we had some beautiful rain earlier in the week, especially off to the west and along the Rio Grande Valley. And so, folks, for the past 30 days, you've got about as much or above what is normal as far as precipitation for the past 30 days. But obviously to the east, we did pick up some nice rain here in town, but still, 54% of what we should have for the past 30 days. In a lot of areas, even less than that, a third or even a quarter of what is normal. All right, throughout the rest of the morning, we're going to have a lot of sunshine, 1 or 2 clouds hanging around here, and temperatures are going to be warming up. Once that sun gets a little higher up into the sky, it's going to warm up pretty quickly. We'll already be up to 87 degrees today at noon, already up to a normal high temperature, and then we're going to make it up to 97 later on today. Plenty of sunshine out there, and as pretty as the sunrise is going to be, it's going to be a good looking sunset. Now, as far as temperatures, we are going to see maybe a few triple digits, especially off to the west and to the southwest today. But around the metropolitan area, it's going to be primarily just mid and leaning toward the upper 90s. And as far as the humidity, it is there this morning, but it is going to be dropping down somewhat later on this afternoon, that usual 24-hour cycle that it goes through. So we're not going to have any sort of a huge heat index to deal with today. It's going to be the situation tomorrow afternoon as well. Then we get into Sunday and Monday, and the humidity is going to be sticking around throughout the afternoon hours. We've got humidity this morning. Like I said, it does drop down by the afternoon, so at least it'll be somewhat more pleasant if you're in the shade, and then that humidity comes back in here tomorrow. Also, the next couple of mornings, it does look like we're going to be seeing a lot more in the way of some morning clouds hanging around here. Temperatures over the weekend are going to be very hot. We're not going to be hitting any records. The records are well up into the low hundreds, so we're about 5 degrees below the respective record high temperatures the next couple of days, but it's just going to be blisteringly hot out there. Like I said, plus the humidity comes back in, which you can see with those low temperatures that are going to be hanging then in the mid 70s by the middle of next week. That's a good indication humidity's out here. So high temperatures won't be as hot, but then we're going to have the humidity to deal with. So no matter how you slice it, it's still going to be just very hot. So the unofficial start of summer is definitely going to be living up to the billing. 87 degrees today at noon, sunny skies, and then a high temperature today makes it up to 97. About 10 degrees above normal going into the weekend. It is going to be very, very hot around here. We will have temperatures, again, they're going to be in the upper 90s and plenty of sunshine. A bit breezy as we go on into the weekend as well. And then it won't be as sizzling hot as we get into the middle of the week, but we'll have some more humidity around here. A shower or two is possible on Wednesday, although not very likely. Mark, Sarah.
Thank you very much, Mike. We have some breaking news developing, folks. We want to let you know that according to the San Antonio Police Department Twitter page, a suspect is barricaded in a home in the 8800 block of Topsy Street. That's near Morrison Boulevard. This is down on the south side. Now, according to San Antonio Police, gunshots have been exchanged between officers and the suspect. So far, no injuries have been reported. Police say the suspect is alone, and officers are working to resolve this situation peacefully. We have a crew on the way, and we're bringing the latest information as we get it on air and online. Right now, it is 6:22, about 71 degrees.
Well, straight ahead, Crime Stoppers needs your help finding two suspects wanted for robbery. The details after the break.
No matter who you are, being yourself can be tough when you have severe asthma. Triggers can pop up out of nowhere, causing inflammation that can lead to asthma attacks. But no matter what type of severe asthma you have, Tespire can help. Tespire is a new add-on treatment for people 12 and over that proactively reduces inflammation, which means you could have fewer attacks, breathe better, and relieve your asthma symptoms. So you can be you, whoever you are. Tespire is not a rescue medication. Don't take Tespire if you're allergic to it. Allergic reactions like rash or an eye allergy can happen. Don't stop your asthma treatments unless your doctor tells you to. Tell your doctor if you have a parasitic infection or your asthma worsens. Sore throat, joint, and back pain may occur. Avoid live vaccines. By helping control your asthma, Tespire can help you be you. No matter who you are, ask your asthma specialist about Tespire today.
Harlandale ISD ending its school year early. Next Friday, June 3rd, will be the last day of classes. The district superintendent sent a letter home with students saying he and the rest of the district understand parents are concerned about the safety of their children. To read more on this story, go on to KSAT.com.
Well, new this morning, a woman is chased by two people and she's able to get away. Now, SAPD and Crime Stoppers want your help to find them. Just take a look at your screen. This happened around 1:30 in the afternoon on May 12th. Police say a woman was walking toward her parked vehicle in the 200 block of South Home near South Brazos Street. Authorities say she noticed a white SUV like the one on your screen pass her and park in front of her vehicle. As she was trying to get into her vehicle, she says the two suspects allegedly got out of their SUV and had a handgun. Police say the suspects demanded her vehicle, but she says she was able to speed off, but the suspect chased her for a short distance. She was able to get away. If you know anything about this crime, you can call Crime Stoppers at number on your screen, 210-224-7867.
6:27, 71 degrees.
Another shipment of specialized baby formula heading to the U.S. coming up. Who the FDA will distribute those cans to around this time.
Up next, we're live from Uvalde. RJ Marquez is there with the governor's decision not to attend the NRA convention in Houston in person this weekend. Stay with us.
Americans are making their voices heard on gun reform. I'm Micah Jachi reporting in Washington. Coming up, the latest on gun control measures on Capitol Hill.
Well, we have learned overnight that Governor Greg Abbott will not be appearing in person at today's NRA convention over in Houston.
A recorded video of Abbott will play at the convention. Instead, Abbott says he'll return to Uvalde to meet with families of those victims. RJ Marquez is live there with more. Good morning, RJ.
Good morning, Sarah and Mark. Yeah, this is new information that we're receiving over the past couple of hours. There were questions whether Governor Abbott would be here or would go to this NRA convention in Houston, and that is still going on as planned. But we now know that answer. The governor will instead hold a news conference here. It is scheduled for 3:30 this afternoon at Uvalde High School. The governor also expected to meet with families, as you guys mentioned, and also kind of give the latest information in this terrible shooting, and also kind of detail some of the resources that are available to families and other victims here in the community of Uvalde. But going back to that NRA convention, that will still go on as planned in Houston. But right now, city officials there are actually expecting protests following the mass shooting right here in Uvalde. The NRA convention was already scheduled to start there today before the shooting occurred. However, some are now concerned about the timing and sensitivity of the event. City leaders say that they cannot cancel that convention. They have a binding contract with the NRA. Now, that has sparked some organizations to plan protests outside the convention center.
We find it unfathomable that these folks are still willing to celebrate gun culture.
All right, guys, so the NRA did release a statement offering sympathy to the families and victims in Uvalde and said that they are committed to making schools more secure. They also noted in this statement that this was the act of a lone deranged criminal. So back out here live at Uvalde Memorial Park. So we've been out here throughout the morning. There's been people that live here that have been coming out to look at this site here that is now a candlelight vigil that has been set for 6 p.m. as more people come out here and pray. And Mark and Sarah, I can't help just thinking that really today was supposed to be the first day of summer break for these students here. And now these families are just trying to wrap their minds, still in a state of shock about what happened, and also wrap their arms around one another. Again, this candlelight vigil out here at Uvalde Memorial Park set for 6 p.m. and we will continue to follow this story as we go along throughout the rest of the day. Mark and Sarah, back to you guys.
RJ Marquez live in Uvalde. Thank you very much, RJ. For the latest on this developing story, scan the QR code. It'll take you right to everything we know so far as of this morning. That information is constantly being updated by our news and web team. We will continue to update it as more information comes in the days and the weeks ahead. Well, now to some encouraging news. Lawmakers in Washington, D.C. appear to be coming together in some sort of resolution on how to deal with all of this in the wake of the tragedy in Uvalde.
ABC's Aika Jachi has the details.
Americans are making their voices heard in the debate over gun safety. From student walkouts to Major League Baseball, the Rays and Yankees using their social media accounts to tweet gun violence statistics last night instead of game updates. And now, possible movement in Washington. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell is urging colleagues to find common ground, directing Texas Senator John Cornyn to work with Democrats.
I'm not interested in the same old tired talking points. I'm actually interested in what we can do to make the terrible events that occurred in Uvalde less likely in the future.
On the table, background checks for gun stores, gun shows, and online sales, and red flag measures that could allow courts to temporarily remove guns from people deemed dangerous. Polls show more than 80% of Americans support those policies, but any talk of reform involving guns is a non-starter for many Republicans, including Texas Senator Ted Cruz, telling Sky News now isn't the time to talk about gun reform.
Is this the moment to reform gun laws?
You know, it's easy to go to politics.
But it's important. It's at the heart of the issue.
The proposals from Democrats and the media, inevitably, when some violent psychopath murders people.
A violent psychopath who's able to get a weapon so easily. 18-year-old with 2 AR-15.
Now, several gun control groups will be protesting outside the NRA convention today, and several local leaders are calling for peaceful protests. Aika Jachi, ABC News, Washington.
Now to some late-breaking news. San Antonio police have blocked off part of a Southside neighborhood. They believe an armed man is locked inside a home on a street called Topsy that's not far from Pleasanton Road.
Katrina Weber is there with a live report. Katrina, what have you been able to find out so far?
Well, good morning. We have a few details that have come out from the Public Information Office. They say that a man who apparently exchanged gunfire with officers is inside a home here in the 8800 block of Topsy Street, and they are surrounding this neighborhood. Just take a look at what's going on. They have these streets that lead into this very short street blocked off right now. So they are working sort of around the corner on that street called Topsy. Police, again, say that this man fired at officers. They fired back. And so they consider him at least to be dangerous. They say he is inside the home alone, and they have the area contained. So They are just keeping an eye on it for right now. Now, we have been told, or there has been a tweet that was sent out that the Chief McManus, Police Chief William McManus, is on his way to the neighborhood, and he is going to be meeting with members of the media at another location. So we're going to go over there and hopefully get a few more details. But for now, no injuries reported in this exchange of gunfire in this neighborhood between police and a man who is now, as they say, barricaded inside a home. Reporting live on the south side, Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you very much, Katrina. She's going to keep us updated all morning long, of course. Got a couple of clouds that are off in the horizon, well off to the east. Otherwise, plenty of clear skies out there, and temperatures, boy, it's a whole different story than what we had around here yesterday. We are anywhere from 10, almost 15 degrees warmer. That number, we're at 72 right now, and the dew point temperature, measure moisture in the atmosphere, is also about 10 to 15 degrees higher than what it was at this point yesterday. Wind out of the south at 5 miles per hour. We do have moderate mold. Grass is on the low side this morning, and mostly clear skies. Obviously, one or two of those clouds, but not as cool as what it was yesterday. And then we're going to have plenty of sunshine. Mid to upper 90s later on today. At least the humidity will be dropping down somewhat this afternoon. So heat index is not really going to be a big issue today. However, as we go on in toward the weekend, especially the latter portion of the weekend, we will start to see a bit more humidity around here. And next week, it won't be quite as hot. We'll still be on the above normal side, but we'll still keep some humidity sticking around here. Also, it is an air quality health alert day today, ozone action day. So there is kind of a little extra problem for unhealthy folks out there. So just take it easy throughout the day today. As far as the weekend forecast, closer look at that coming up in just a couple of minutes. Traffic authorities, Stephen Cavazos, what's the latest, sir?
Yeah, just finished my iced coffee, Mike. So trying to keep up with the weather here. Thankfully, drivers don't really have a lot to keep up with in terms of traffic. Things have been pretty quiet down 35 at Loop 410 as we take a drive around town. You can see just some empty roadways, but we do know there are still some kiddos that are heading out to school this morning. We know people may be hitting the road for Memorial Day weekend, so just make sure you drive carefully. As you can see, some of these shots, it is getting a little bit busier out there. But taking you right here to US 90 and those westbound lanes at 36th Street, we do have a stalled vehicle that was reported in those lanes of traffic, so just make sure you watch out for that. But as we get that wide view of the map and show you how things are looking at 639, no slowdowns. But as I mentioned throughout the morning, we do have those active construction zones. And of course, we know crews will be out there to improve the roadways, so just make sure you give them a break. Thankfully, good news here too. We are green across the board if your destination is the Alamo City, so no need to rush out the door. Just remember to drive safe. We'll have more updates coming up in the next few minutes. Mark, Sarah.
Stephen, thank you. In your other morning headlines, about 500,000 cans of specialty baby formula are now headed to the U.S. The Food and Drug Administration says the Neocate amino acid-based formula is on the way. It's given to children who have multiple food allergies or allergic to milk. The FDA says it has been working with the formula company to boost production. Once in the U.S., the formula will be distributed through direct orders, healthcare facilities, hospitals, and pharmacies. The FDA says it's also in discussion with other manufacturers and suppliers to get additional formula to the U.S.
Well, Memorial Day weekend is upon us, and lots of people will be hitting the road. More than 50 million Americans are expected to travel by car and plane this weekend. Most of us are also paying more for fuel and airfare. At the pump, the national average for a gallon of gas this morning, $4.60, another all-time high. If you're flying instead of driving, expect big crowds and long lines. Delta alone is seeing 25% more travelers now than they saw last year.
Good luck out there, folks, and of course, pack your patience. 640, about 71 degrees.
Well, coming up, we take a look at the protocols for law enforcement when confronting an active shooter. That story straight ahead.
643, the Columbine High School shooting 23 years ago changed how law enforcement respond to an active shooter. The guidelines are the same across local, state, and federal law enforcement. Make entry and stop the killing.
Patty Santos spoke with a security assessment specialist and former active shooter trainer about those protocols.
With the shooter, which is either neutralize, isolate, or distract them to get them to stop shooting. And then once you stop the killing, you have to switch your driving force to medical, which is stop the dying.
Ryan Searles is a security engineering consultant and former active shooter trainer. He's not privy to the Uvalde shooting investigation, but says active shooter training for law enforcement is the same across the board, whether it's a solo officer facing an armed person or a team.
We learned from Columbine, you can't sit outside and wait while kids are getting shot inside. You need to make entry right away.
The Bexar County Sheriff's Office and SAPD policy reflects this practice. Deputies and officers are required to have their body armor on and weapons ready as they go into the building, but they also have to be prepared to change course.
Active shooter can change very quickly from an active shooter to a barricaded suspect, as long as they make entry in a room and they're barricaded and no shots are fired. It's now not treated as an active shooter event. It's treated as a barricaded suspect.
For the San Antonio Police Department, the policy is that if hostages are in the same room with a shooter, officers have to avoid injuries or death in a mass scale. They can use the hostages as a bargaining tool.
If suspect makes entry into the room and stops shooting, at that point right there, it's barricaded suspect. It changes to that, and you call SWAT, you create your plan.
But Searle says it can switch back immediately if the shooter opens fire. Patty Santos, KSAT 12 News.
Well, just one day after the school shooting in Uvalde, police say a student made a threat at a school in Seguin. Officers say parents need to know that they'll investigate any threatening statements, even if they're just said. In this case, 19-year-old Joe Palencia is charged with 1 count of terroristic threat. Investigators say a teacher overheard him saying he wouldn't be able to carry his AK-47. And Seguin police say it didn't stop there. Police arrested the student at his home Wednesday night. Although investigators say there is currently no threat, police continue to increase law enforcement in and around Seguin ISD schools.
Time check, 6:46. Also time to check on the morning commute with our traffic expert, Steven Cavazos.
Thank you, Mark. Right now, things have been okay on the roadways, but this is a time where things are also expected to change as more people get out there. But getting a look around town, 1604 there at Military, still pretty quiet. But 410 at Jackson Keller, looks like people are driving off into the sun there. So just remember to be careful and make sure you stay alert. Quick reminder, as we get a wide look at the map, active construction zone seems to be what we can expect today, but some stalled vehicles. You can see that's the latest one off of 410. Also have one here off of I-10 in the eastbound lanes near Wurzbach Road. So just make sure you're checking your vehicles, especially if you have those Memorial Day travel plans. We want to make sure you get to where you need to be, of course, on time, but more importantly, safely. Guys.
Thank you, Steven. The Memorial Day weekend is here, and Mike begins this weathercast with another beautiful picture from KSAT Connect.
This is the person you want to befriend this weekend.
Right.
Yeah. With that pool, which is absolutely gorgeous out there, and the blue skies. Now, we had a lot of clear skies this morning, and some of these clouds have now decided to move on in here. They are going to be clearing out later on this morning. We'll see a lot more sunshine, and then plenty of sunshine over the weekend. We'll have a lot of low morning clouds and sunshine in the afternoon. It's going to be breezy over the weekend as well, and even hotter. We're going to be in the upper 90s, 98 both Saturday and Sunday here in town, which means we are going to be seeing a lot of triple digits over to the west and to the southwest over toward the Rio Grande Valley. And then on Monday, Memorial Day, 95 degrees. Temperatures right now, 72, 63 Bernie Stage, and then 59 up around Comfort. And yeah, still plenty of humidity. Now, it's more pleasant out there on Kerrville, especially Comfort, when you get those dew points below 60. Of course, everybody had the beautiful dew points yesterday that were in the low, mid, and lower 50s. And of course, we had temperatures in the 50s as well as 40s yesterday. Now, today, we are going to make it up into the mid and upper 80s already by noon. We got some of those clouds hanging around here right now, but we are going to see more sunshine, and then up through the 90s as we go on in through the early afternoon. 87 degrees at noon, by the way, is the normal high temperature. So we're going to be 10 degrees above that. And again, with plenty of sunshine. At least the humidity is going to be dropping down, though, somewhat as we go into the afternoon hours. So that will make it slightly more comfortable. We're not going to have any outrageous heat index readings to deal with today. Humidity comes back in here overnight, starting off tomorrow, and then it is going to be dropping down somewhat in the afternoon tomorrow, but not as much. And then as we go into Sunday as well as Monday and also a good chunk of next week, we are going to keep the humidity somewhat on the higher side, and we've got a little bit of a glitch there on the wall. But as far as the forecast today, we are going to be seeing temperatures that are going to make it up to 97 degrees, and then we are going going to be up to the upper 90s as we go into the next couple of days. More humidity, especially, well, in the mornings, and then especially on Sunday. Then we get into next week, mid-90s, still on the above normal side by a good 5 degrees or so. And we'll have low temperatures in the mid-70s. Maybe a shower or two on Wednesday. Kind of wait and see situation.
Wait and see.
When does summer officially start?
Not until the 2/3 of the way through June, right around the 21st of June.
Not the beginning of May that we've been feeling.
That's what the calendar says. So.
Okay. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, sir. 6:50, about 71 degrees on your Friday morning.
Beautiful morning out there, 71 degrees at 6:50. We'll have more when we come back.
Coming up here on GMA, the urgent search for answers as new concerning details about the Uvalde shooting keep emerging. How long it took for authorities to enter that Texas elementary school classroom where the gunman was terrorizing students and teachers. Also this morning, 40 million Americans on alert for severe weather this holiday weekend. I'm going to be all over that, showing you who has to look out where. And then the best and worst times to take off, to drive, to find the best gas prices, where you can find the best sales of the weekend. Lots to get to on a Friday edition of GMA.
Before you go, we want to give you an update on that breaking news situation. According to the San Antonio Police Twitter page, a suspect has barricaded himself in the home of the 8800 block of Topsy in the city's south side. That's near Morrison Boulevard. According to police, gunshots have been exchanged between them and the suspect. So far, no injuries have been reported. Our Katrina Weber is on scene. We are told Chief William McManus also just arrived on scene. He's expected to brief the media in just a bit. We are staying on top of this breaking news, and we'll bring you the latest information as soon as we get it on air and online.
Yeah, of course, look for more perhaps during Good Morning America and coming up on GMSA at 9. Right now, time check. We are just about 5 minutes away from 7 on your Friday morning.
We're going to check in one more time with Stephen Cavazos on the roads.
Hey, people are up and traffic is moving. Let's get a look around town. 37 at Houston. You can see right now just quiet roads, but other areas that I've been looking at does show that traffic is starting to get a little bit busier. However, 1604 Petranco looks pretty quiet still. So if you are expected to head out the door in the next few moments, try to enjoy these roadways while you can. 410 at McCullough. Again, just usual traffic, but be on the lookout because stalls seem to be the trending problem as of now. I-35 southbound coming in from New Braunfels at Schwab. You'll see one there, so make sure you move over and slow down. We also have one here, still at I-10 eastbound at Wurzbach Road. Let's take another drive right over here to Loop 410 southbound at Old Pearsall. So again, that is the trending problem at this hour, but travel times just about green across the board. You're not going to encounter any delays just yet, so take your time. 37 at Southeast Military, I-10 at the Y. Mike, it looks like traffic is moving normal, but sunglasses is a good idea?
Yes, won't need them right now. The clouds have moved on in here. We had some clear skies overnight, so that's kind of put a sort of a lid on any more cooling. We're at 73 right now. Actually went up a degree just in the past couple of minutes. 59 Comfort, 70 Converse, 72 at Stinson, and throughout the day we're going to be up to 87 degrees. We'll have more sunshine later on today. 97 for a high temperature, so about 10 degrees above normal. At least the humidity is going to be okay for this afternoon, but we'll definitely have humidity around here in the next few days. We do also have an ozone action day. A air quality health alert is in effect today, and for the Memorial Day weekend, it is definitely going to be on the hot side, upper 90s, more humidity.
Thank you, Mike.
We'll see you back here for GMSA at 9. GMA is next.
Have a good weekend.